Welcome, everybody, to Mudflood was Armageddon. Mudflood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. In case you haven't overdosed on Nikola Tesla and all of his accomplishments, it's time to question uh, was he a setup? Was he real? Was he a myth? Was it, as I've postulated, as early as 2008? People came out of caves with reversed engineering diagrams, and they've been working on it and presenting it to people. But here's something, free energy. Has it been suppressed? I've got a few videos and then some comments about Nikola Tesla. Let's refresh your memory.
Allegedly perpetrated by various government agencies, corporate powers, special interest groups, and fraudulent inventors. It is usually claimed that special interest groups are associated with the fossil fuel or nuclear industries, whose business model would be threatened. In modern science, it is evident that many free energy claims, such as the ability to extract zero-point energy, are impossible. According to conspiracy advocates, the scientific community has controlled and suppressed research into alternative avenues of energy generation through peer review institutions, as a result of its control and suppression of alternative energy technologies. Free energy devices or related efficiency technologies are also claimed to be suppressed by buying a patent from the inventor or his family, suing the inventor, or even murdering the inventor. In the 1930s, Thomas Henry Morey, a free energy researcher and public demonstrator, claimed that his lab was ransacked and threatened several times, and he and his family were shot to stop his research and public demonstrations. These claims have not been supported by any evidence. Claims of suppression include: it is alleged that peer review and academic pressure have been used by the scientific community to control and suppress research into alternative forms of energy generation. It is believed that there exist devices that are able to extract significant and usable power from pre-existing unconventional energy sources, such as the quantum vacuum zero-point energy, for little or no cost, but that these devices have been suppressed by the power industry. There is a claim that patents related to 100 miles per gallon carburetors have been bought up. As a matter of fact, Stanley Meyer, Eugene Maliv, and Nikola Tesla are some of the notable people who have claimed to have been suppressed, harassed, or killed for their research. Proponents of free energy claim that Tesla developed a system, the Wardenclyffe Tower, that could generate unlimited amounts of free energy. In spite of this, his system was only intended to transmit energy for free. The energy in the system would still need to come from conventional sources for the system to operate. Gary McKinnon, a Scottish computer hacker who unlawfully accessed computer systems in search of evidence of a secret free energy device, is one of the most prominent proponents of the conspiracy theory.
Well, that certainly was an eye-opening experience. Interesting. Lit up that light bulb. It didn't look like a scam to me. Tesla, the real mad scientist, I thought it was pretty good. Probably should have had more than 58 views.
Ideas of wireless lighting and electricity distribution in his high-voltage, high-frequency power experiments in New York and Colorado Springs, and made early, 1893, pronouncements on the possibility of wireless communication with his devices. He tried to put these ideas to practical use in his ill-fated attempt at intercontinental wireless transmission, which was his unfinished Wardenclyffe Tower project. In his lab he also conducted a range of experiments with mechanical oscillators/generators, electrical discharge tubes, and early X-ray imaging. He also built a wireless controlled boat, one of the first ever exhibited. Tesla was renowned for his achievements and showmanship, eventually earning him a reputation in popular culture as an archetypal mad scientist. His patents earned him a considerable amount of money, much of which was used to finance his own.
All right, that's a little bit of a background from Wikipedia. Now we're going to look at a little short about the wireless communication built outside Colorado Springs.
68 feet in diameter. He named the facility Wardenclyffe Tower and believed it would radically advance wireless technology with what he called communication devices, the likes of which would not be seen for another century. Over the next year, a great wooden tower was constructed, standing 187 feet tall, with a metal dome 68 feet in diameter. He named the facility Wardenclyffe Tower and believed it would radically advance wireless technology with what he called communication devices, the likes of...
All right, that sounded a little bit like the Wikipedia article to me. So this is where he lived. I guess he rented out the whole 33rd floor, and Donald Trump's grandfather or somebody was the one sent to confiscate it. We'll just check it out.
His work was seized at the New York hotel by U.S. intelligence agencies shortly after his death in January 1943. And slowly over time, his work is being released to the world for financial gain. One of the lesser known inventions, or more an idea of an invention that Tesla envisioned, is one that over 36% of the world's population use on a daily basis. That is 2.5 billion people. Wait, do you hear this? We all think the smartphone was invented or realized as a possibility in the 1980s. It never happened overnight, and though these inventions have been realized in modern times, there is actually a progression of thoughts that led to this, and the original idea was born of Nikola Tesla's thoughts. In the early 1900s, he drew up blueprints for a device which would show live stock market trading from the New York Stock Exchange through wireless technology. He describes the device as being a handheld device with a screen perhaps 5 inches, small enough to fit into your pocket. In a Popular Mechanics interview from 1909, Tesla is quoted as saying, "It will soon be possible, for instance, for a businessman in New York to dictate instructions and have them appear in type in London or elsewhere. He will be able to call from his desk and talk with any telephone subscriber in the world. It will only be necessary to carry an inexpensive instrument, no bigger than a watch, which will enable its bearers to hear anywhere on sea or land for distances of thousands of miles." This device was never adapted due to lack of funding for Tesla's idea. He was, after all,
Well, you know, during his time in the, let's say, the 1890s to 1910, they could have already done that. Maybe not wirelessly, but they had the precursor to the fax machine. They were already doing things like that. Let's jump ahead and see where we're at with the Nikola Tesla's wire phone idea.
it may have been. Would the United States even be the great superpower of the world today if it was not for this monopoly in selling these ideas to the world? It makes you wonder, if they are able to shun a genius like Nikola Tesla, then what other ancient technologies and historical accuracies are being withheld from the public scrutiny? The truth is, of course, leaking out bit by bit, and the masses are only now beginning to learn and appreciate the truth about history. Perhaps our country's leaders don't know these truths either. Maybe we as people as a whole are in fact ignorant beyond belief to the point we can't even see it. Just a thought. John.
Right. I think it's possible that ignorance is the good word. It's not that people are stupid. It's they're ignorant of the truth because it has not been presented to them. The last video on Nikola Tesla, that I'll make a few comments and show you how deep the hidden electricity rabbit hole goes.
Just wait till you hear this. When you talk about being born under a wandering star and all that, well, this guy was born under a blaze of glory during a fierce lightning storm at the stroke of midnight in 1856. It was like something out of a science fiction novel. The quintessential mad genius had arrived. He was the chosen one sent to the earth to present to humanity the next phase in the quantum imagination of our understanding of everything, something only a genius would dare to envision. At first, he was sent all over Europe to troubleshoot and improve Edison designed dynamos and motors. This was frustrating for Tesla. Why? If he could make better improved versions of someone else's inventions, could he not have them built this way in the first place? At the age of 28, he immigrated to the United States after an extensive educational program during.
Now there goes the myth part that he tinkered around some in Europe and then showed up and miraculously figured out how to fix something and got hired that day he got off the boat. Well, it seemed like he had plenty of experiences with turbines, and we'll get to that. The mystery will only deepen. Now, this is a Nikola Tesla love letter. So let's just pick it right back up there. The love letter.
Over long distances and produce dangerous sparking from the required converter. Regardless, Edison and his backers utilized the general dangers of electric current to instill fear in Nikola Tesla's alternative alternating current, trying to ridicule Tesla in a world where Edison held a monopoly over the inventing and newspaper pull. This led to the accumulation of over a decade of shady business deals, stolen ideas, and patent suppression that Edison and his moneyed interests wielded over Tesla's inventions. Yet despite it all, it is Tesla's system that provides power generation and distribution in our modern era. Tesla may have had a brilliant mind, but he was not as good at reducing his ideas to practice. Tesla described to his funder and business partner, J.P. Morgan, a new means of instant communication that involved gathering stock quotes and telegram messages, funneling them to his laboratory where he would encode them and assign them each a new frequency. That frequency would be broadcast to a device that would fit in your hand. In other words, Tesla had envisioned the smartphone and wireless internet over 100 years before the ideas were fully put to practice. Does that not just blow your mind, or what? He also conceived of, but never developed technology for radar, X-rays, a particle beam death ray, and radio astronomy. I feel that the additional technical and scientific research of Nikola Tesla should be revealed for public scrutiny and discussion instead of suppressed by big industry and even our supposed institutions of higher education. Join the world's call to tell power brokers everywhere that we are ready to occupy energy.
That's really not going to help. To tell the people, we're mad you don't listen to Nikola Tesla. That'd be like, voting and thinking that things are going to change. I just want to bring to your attention Phoenician art in this scholarly paper I've been reading, that in the late Bronze Age, the people already knew and were attributing to the Bible that, King Hiram of Tyre, at Solomon's request, could bring craftsmen that worked in gold, silver, bronze, iron, stone, and wood, as well as various fabrics and fine linens. And when you read the descriptions of what Solomon ordered and what was delivered, it was put up without the sound of a hammer being heard in the palace while it was building, because all the stones were cut at the quarry, sawed with great saws, great stones, costly stones, 8 cubits. They built the Star Force or the cities or rebuilt them. And the art, it does look like these uh, Syro-Phoenicians were the Greeks, and the Etruscans were the Greeks, and the Romans were the Greeks, and they were the Hellenists. And we'll get to the bottom. Back to the electricity. Let's see, all right. I know that you never get tired of international exhibitions. And while we're talking about electricity, this one was the International Electrotechnical Exhibition. It was held between the 16th of May and the 19th of October on the disused site of the Western Railway stations in Frankfurt, Germany. The exhibition featured the first long distance transmission of high power three-phase electric current, which was generated at 170 kilometers away. As a result of this successful field trial, three-phase currents became established for electrical transmission throughout the world. So, founded in 1881, 3 years later, 10 manufacturers of electrical equipment had set them up all the way up to 1890. Some of the enterprises were established, which would later become the major firms in Frankfurt. And, there's probably still working today. So let's see, there was a main station had been completed in 1888. Remember those dates. 1891, beginning in 1888. And now let's look at this is in Germany where this was being championed. In Colorado in 1890, near Ophir, Colorado, a town of like maybe a couple of thousand, if that. It says, was one of the first, if not the first, commercial system to produce and transmit alternate current electricity for industrial use, and one of the first AC hydroelectric plants ever constructed. AC means Tesla style. It became operational in 1891 and was built by Westinghouse Electric around two of their large alternators, turbines. It was the need to power a stamp mill. Well, actually, that should read the need to power a stamp mill more economically feasibly. The stamp mill processed ore at the Gold King mine way up in the mountains near Ophir, Colorado, and it was driven by a major stockholder. Timber fuel was in scarce supply at the mine's 12,000 foot height. That's 2 miles. And coal could not be used. See, they wanted electricity because it was too hard to get wood and coal there. They were using electricity. They had electricity. This was only through a copper wire. That's why they needed to do it. Now, this was a single phase, the Westinghouse. The ones we read about in Germany, they were, it said 3-phase, and so Germany was a little bit ahead. The power system went online June 19th, 1991. The entire plant required 15 to 20 attendants. Now listen to this. The instruments and controls were rudimentary, solenoid type gravity balanced voltmeters and amp meters mounted on lacquered wooden boards. Workers had to take special care because of the high voltages used. Power was connected by knife switches. Those are the ones you've seen on TV. And the system was shut down by a worker grabbing a connecting line at the power pole and pulling it out of the arc light style plug mounted on a pole. Wow. So that was pretty dangerous. And also it didn't have a governor on it. So the man who was, doing the shift to keep it spinning at the right RPMs had to, stare at a gauge for his whole 8 hour, 10-hour shift. Outrageous. I believe it is. So again, any more confusions? The war, the currents. That's a whole newspaper show. Was Thomas Edison the great man he meant to be? Was Nikola Tesla the man he meant to be? For your further study. All right. So for further study, let's go ahead and I want to just show you some of the pictures of just the inside. So at 12,000 feet, that's 2 miles, over 2 miles, it's going to get pretty cold in just a wood place. But there's your Westinghouse, one of the two Westinghouse turbines. Thought you might want to enjoy that picture. The Telluride Power Company, this is a article written about it near the Gold King mine near Telluride, or Ouray. Telluride is a little bit bigger near Ouray. It says up here the famous Camp Bird mine. Well, the Gold King mine I thought was there too. So here is the original building. There's the turbine, and it's got to be the bone-chilling place to live for 4 months out of the year. So that's where they built it. 12,000. The first one in the United States was not at Niagara Falls, where they could say, look at that Nikola Tesla idea. No, so this is just some other pictures of the area. There's a dome at a deserted observatory. What? What's it doing deserted at 150 years ago? Would have been brand new. They didn't even know what an observatory was. Can you use water power safely? Well, in the 1700s, this town mill, it's been using it since the 1700s. You don't need to block off rivers and make, industrial size hydroelectric powers. And as far as Westinghouse goes, they weren't even the first turbines. The Francis turbines, 1848, it started working on it. They were introduced, produced from 1848 to approximately 1920. James Francis, 1848, created a new turbine. So there's one in Lowell, Massachusetts. So I really do think that, studying the dams, studying the need for electricity, and realizing, I think that we're doing it wrong, it is going to be a big step. We've gone over Nikola Tesla. We've seen some contradictions of how in the United States, the first turbines shouldn't be in the middle of Colorado and 2 miles high. And it seems like they were trying to keep it a secret. So Nikola Tesla, I think he existed, but I think he was given a lot of that information and trained until he was 28 years old, like that's equivalent to getting a PhD and everything else, and then sent here to, help America, unite with Europe, and let's keep it rolling. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. And mud flood was Armageddon. I'm never going to tell you anything else, and neither are my friends. Why would we? We're trying to prove that we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho.